Hi everyone, this is Ben. So on today's Leap session, we'll talk about AI build for maintenance. A bit of a disclaimer, apologies for the wait. Had a bit of technical issues for the past minute. Winter came in early, okay, and my internet is having some issues. I see some snow on the fiber optic cable, okay, so I guess I myself need a work order for that. So hopefully everything goes smoothly now. I'm on hotspot. Okay. Excited to have you guys here. And without any further wait, let's get started. So I see a lot of familiar faces here, some existing clients, some partners, but I see some new names as well. All right. For people that don't know me, I'm Ben Brousseau. I've been with Verosoft for going on my 8 years, right? So some of you have been here since the very start, like came a long way. I'm now a pre-sales consultant, so I'm engaging in sales and demonstration, those webinars, and activating our pipeline. If you have any questions or require any assistance, you can scan the QR code or you can simply send me an email. And I still have some availabilities before the end of the week. I'll be working next Monday, Tuesday as well. So now would be a good time to start any conversation. Doesn't have to be about, today's webinar or AI. Just feel free to book some time with me. So if we take a look at our agenda for today, okay, we'll start with why AI for maintenance, why this needs to be on your radar. I mean, you've probably heard it pretty much everywhere, okay? And then we'll talk about a little bit, what comes with it, what are the implementation challenges that we'll be facing, and we'll do some live training, some walkthrough, okay? My goal really at the end of today's webinar is that you have a starting point to start dabbling with our mobiMentor AI on your current Mobi environment. We'll take a look at the different scenarios that we have, and then I have a bit of a recipe, so how to deliver quick results in 3 phases. All right? So before we get started into the actual demo, and I promise I'll share my screen in a little bit and we'll be able to see it in action. I just wanted to kind of get everyone on the same level. Okay, I have a few definitions, and I think they're quite important. Okay, there's a lot of noise around AI, so let's just get things straight. First, we have a chatbot, which I think is probably how most people are getting accustomed to AI, but really think of a chatbot as just a mouth, so to speak, or it's really an interface with the users. Okay, so some of your interface could be PLCs, it could be our TAG app on the phone, but that's what the chatbot is. Okay, what really puts the brain behind the chatbot would be the agents. Okay, so the agents are really the intelligence behind it. Okay, they're coded to answer back to the user or have a back and forth. Okay? So often you have the chatbot, that's the interface. Behind the chatbot, you would have an agent. And then this brings us to specialized agents. Okay, so specialized agents are specifically trained and have very specific boundaries to operate within a set of rules or a sandbox, so to speak. So we'll be able to see a few specialized agents today, but think of an example. It could be a store clerk agent that's really specialized into maintenance spare parts and inventory level and the location of those spare parts. Then if we tie everything together, agentic AI, which is what we see a lot, okay, is essentially the concept of having multiple AI agents together, okay, that takes goal-directed actions independently. Okay, so essentially having almost a team of agents behind the system. We'll go a little quicker on the definitions on the right, okay, but MCP, this is essentially the protocol that agents and AI uses to communicate either with system, let's say Business Central or TAG in your case, or even between agents themselves. Okay, so they don't really speak English. Okay, they speak using MCP. Then we have small model and premium model, and this is going to be a little more important later on because if you have a standard tag license at the moment, okay, just reach out. We can activate some small model for you guys, and I can even walk you through. The small models are essentially lighter, less complex model. So think of ChatGPT Mini would be a smaller model, while premium model would be much more powerful AI model. They have more knowledge and they consume more resources. Okay? They often come with a bit of a premium cost as well. So why are we here today? Okay, why bother? Okay. Um, there's a lot of noise around AI, but really, if we look at the points on the right here, the first thing for me is really scaling your workforce through retirement. It's more and more difficult to find qualified maintenance technician. Okay. Um, Salaries are getting competitive, recruitment's competitive, and it's difficult to have people stay. So one alternative, I'm not telling to replace your AI workforce, your workforce with AI, but you can kind of supplement or make the existing workforce that you have more efficient. Okay, so we'll be able to see that. Um, Improve data quality across team, eliminate language barriers. So AI is really good at translating. So if you're dealing with a very diverse workforce, you can kind of have AI standardize everything when it comes to notes on a work order. Boost productivity and safety. So essentially cutting admin time. We want report maintenance, work order creation to be quicker, and just overall modernizing your maintenance strategy. Okay. And I know it might be, a little taxing. Some of you are just going out of paper, going into Mobi, but if you're already on Mobi, the switch to AI, like I said, can be quite simple to do. Okay. Once again, just reach out. We can get you started on some small model and you'll be able to see them in action in your own database. Okay? So, what does this mean? This means that, with Mobi AI, ultimately it would be essentially the classic maintenance goals that you would want. So fewer unplanned stop, better use of technician time, less admin time, more wrench time, and ultimately a faster payback on your CMMS or EAM implementation project. Of course, it comes with a few challenges. Okay, the first one, we'll talk about the technician challenges first. Okay, the first one I see is really trust issue. Okay, they're not convinced about it. They might perceive it as a threat a little bit, or just some resistant to change. So my recommendation for those, more change averse technician is really focus on the outcome first, and then we'll worry about complexity later. A good example would be, if we have a specialized agent that specializes on asset, we can prompt it. We can ask, "What's the last work order on this asset?" And the agent will return a response much quicker than the user having to go on the asset list, to go on finished work order history, and then browse through the first finished work order. So just showing them, I have a few small little use case for that can help having some buy-in for technician users. The other challenge that we will see as well would be for management. Okay? So often, we see that the automation projects are complex or too slow to implement, or sometimes they go too fast, they take too much resources. Okay? And leadership hesitates to provide you with budget without a visible ROI. Okay? So kind of similar to the technician here, but we want to focus on quick wins, tangible outcomes. How much time can we save if we implement this agent, or how many mixed mistakes could we prevent? Okay? We want that buy-in. We want those small wins before going into a more complex AI approach. So on today's objective, okay, or what I hope that you can get out of the webinar today, okay, is really see AI in action, mobiMentor AI. So simplify some data discovery. What's the last work order we've done on this asset? Produces some report. How many PMs are overdue, as an example, okay? And even see the AI builder in action or what's under the hood. Try to understand a little bit, what's behind those agents. By the end, you should be able to recognize some opportunities to implement AI. Okay, maybe some of you, your leadership team says, "Oh, we need to implement AI." Well, today you should be able to recognize where would it make sense. Okay? Begin questioning or evaluating your team's workflow. Like, what step doesn't bring a lot of value, but we need to do it, that maybe an agent could do for us or partly do for us, and just ultimately increase efficiency. So now the moment of truth, okay, I'll share my screen. Once again, I'm on my hotspot again. It's not the best condition, let's put it this way, but we'll do it what we have, okay? I'll just share my screen and you should be able to see TAG Mobi. So what we see here is TAG Mobi. I have our premium AI models installed and configured. And just to provide you a bit of context, because we have a very wide range of clients, the data set that I'm using today is a fleet, okay? A fleet of trucks. So you'll recognize here under my asset structure that I have a wide range of different trucks. The easiest way to start with agents is on the top left of your screen here, okay? You'll see on the right of the notification bell. If you click on this, it opens up essentially a chatbot. Remember the definition of a chatbot. And if we browse at the top here, we have all of our different AI agents, okay? Some of them are premium, some of them are not. And keep in mind, what makes an agent premium or not is really the model that we put behind it. Okay, so the ones without, we have one that thread built here. Okay, the one without the premium icon would run on a smaller model, most likely ChatGPT Mini. Okay, so here, if we just quickly glance at some of the AI agents that we have, the first two that we have at the top, we have Mobi Helper and Mobi Ops. These are not specialized agents. Okay. They can still be useful if you're new to CMMS system or new to the application. What they will do is they will route you to the right agent. Okay, so an example, I ask, how many windshields that I have in stock. If I ask to one of these two, they will route me to either the inventory page or they will call an agent that will be able to process such request. Okay. And here we have our specialized agents, so some under work orders and requests, some under planning, some under asset management, inventory, health and safety. So these are the ones that we have out of the box, but keep in mind that you can build your own agents, okay? So if you have a more specific requirement or some niche requirements, you could create your own. Let's see it in action. Okay, so let's say I take an asset management agent. I could create a new chat. Oops, sorry. And here I would ask, what are And what's great is that you can also see what the agent is doing. So here I'm asking the agent, what are the upcoming preventive maintenance on T004? All right, we'll just let it write a little bit. So T004 is essentially my truck here. It's my asset number. And you see how I have not specified that T004 is an asset number. I could have also said Volvo VNL 760. So it's smart enough to understand, what's the context? Are we talking about an asset ID? Are we talking about the description? That's exactly what it did here. Okay. So tell me, I'll help you find the upcoming PM. So it read the equipment list. It found that asset specifically, and then it read our date meter policies, our PM for this truck. Okay. And here I see that we have a monthly basic inspection that's coming up in 2 weeks. Okay. And then we have some that are upcoming in 2026. And it also gives you a little note, the most immediate maintenance due, okay, is the one coming in December 27. Okay. Uh, I think this is an agent that's really easy to build quick wins with Technician because the alternative, I mean, the alternative is not so bad. You would drill down on the asset card, you would go on PM, and then you would scroll to find what's coming up. But you'll find that some technicians are already quite used to ChatGPT, and this is it's a chatbot. It's not ChatGPT behind it. Okay, it's our own AI models, but it's going to be very familiar in terms of user experience. Okay, we could do it more broad. Let's say, do we have any overdue PMs on our? And this is interesting too, as well. Okay, so here I'm asking, do we have any overdue PMs for our asset? We'll just let it ride. And you see the first time, the first call, so to speak, that it did, it tried to read the meter policy and it failed. Okay. And then it adjusted himself. Let me adjust the date format for the filter. So this is really where the specialized agent shine. Okay. There's been a lot of tweaking internally at Verosoft to make those agents as reliable as we can. I would have loved to not see it fail the first time, but there's some fail safe. Okay, we know that's something that's more difficult for AI to interpret, the date formats specifically. So we've provided boundaries and context, and ultimately got the answer pretty smoothly, I find. Okay, so if we take a look here. We have some overdue maintenance on T27, on T01, okay? And, it's flagging me some compliant risks that I have some TSA certification, DoD inspection I'm not doing. It's my demo data set, bear with me. Some of you that operate fleets would not be proud of me, but you get the idea here, okay? And then we can even try to throttle it a little bit here, okay? Can you format? So you see here, you can also generate this as a table, put some priority or conditional formatting for you guys. Okay. Remember the good old days, you would need to export to Excel your preventive maintenance list and then sort on due date and then conditional format. Okay. So here with a few prompts, we can generate this. Okay. Now you can even think a few steps ahead. Okay, what I mean by that is now all fun and games. I've prompted this using the chat, but if it's something that you monitor every day, or maybe every Monday you would monitor your upcoming or overdue PM, okay, rather than having this triggered by a chat, we could have this on your Mobi dashboard, okay, and this would be essentially every time you log in, it would run this trigger, so to speak, and it would give you this table as an example. Okay? So remember the slide, identify opportunity. I think like weekly reports or monthly reports. I mean, if you already have Power BI, great, but sometimes you can even circumvent those BI initiative and just have an agent that would generate those reports for you. Let's take a look at some other agents that we have. So for everyone, once again, this was one of my favorite agents. Okay, we give them nicknames internally. Okay, but this one would be the asset and equipment agent. Let's do the one below, inventory and parts. When you select an agent, it also gives you a little bit of the scope or the boundaries that we've configured into those agents. So this one can help find parts, check stock, reserve items for work order. Okay. Here, how many So see, this one is reading the item table. The other one was reading asset and then PM. This one reads item. Okay. And here found two types of windshield in stock, one from our Cascadia, one for our Mac Anthem windshield. Okay. And if I had, let's say, a longer conversation with that agent, if I was already inquiring about T001, our Cascadia, let's say I'm asking him, what's the last work orders or what's the upcoming work order on our Cascadia? It would retain the context. So, if the AI judged that it's just noise to talk to you about another unit or another item, it could even remove it. And here we could say, so here I want to know, where those windshields are located. So here it's telling me it's shelf A12-19 for our Fretliner windshield and A13. So, the alternative to that, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it would be going into inventory management over here, items. This would load all of your item list, and then you would fill shield, give you the inventory, and then ultimately the shelf number. Okay. This one was a kind of an easy fastball for the AI, but it could go much deeper if some of you are using advanced warehousing, location, and bin. Okay. We can also configure the agents to, rather than looking at shelf number, we can specify it to say, no, you need to look at bins, and this is what the agent will do. We won't test all of them today, okay? But once again, feel free to book some time with me. We will, some few clients already have been using mobiMentor, okay? If right now you're going in TAG and on the right of your notification bell, you do not see the mobiMentor icon, maybe you need to upgrade your Mobi version, or we might need to allocate you a license to use AI. Okay, we can allocate you if you have a standard package, or all of our package includes AI now. Okay, not all of them includes premium model, but if you do not see the mobiMentor icon here, okay, feel free to send me an email, book some time, and then we'll get you started. Okay. In an hour meeting, we can already identify together a few opportunities and get you started on some agents. Some agents can be much more sophisticated as well. So let's say here we take our Fretliner. And if I go to our Fretliner here, I can see some PMs. I have my TSA DOT inspection. Okay. Let's try to delete a few PMs if we can. And you see that sometimes we embed in the user interface some mobiMentor button over here. Okay. And these would be specialized agents that I've configured. When I'm on an asset, I can have a preventive maintenance agent. And here what we could do is we could have the AI, in our case, this one would generate some PM for us. Okay, so generate PM. So we could give them some requirements. We could say that we want, some steps and sub-steps, that we want 4 PMs, or, follow. We could provide a maintenance manual as well. Okay, so what you could do here is you could browse the web, you could find, Fretliner, user manual or preventive maintenance manual. You could upload it here, and you could also tweak under the hood. We'll see that in a little bit. How much should the AI find from the web, or how much, should it use, or should it leverage the maintenance manual? Okay. Or should it leverage the existing data that we have in the database? Let's say we already have a Fretliner Cascadia, then take most of the content from an existing PM that we have in place. Okay. So here we'll give it a shot. Okay, unfortunately, with all of my internet issues, we'll see if this one goes through. I didn't get a chance to test it right before. Okay, if not, I'll be able to provide you a recording of it, but so far it's going pretty good. What we see here, okay, is that there's 23 steps, okay, that goes into building this this AI workflow. Okay. Let's see under PM. What was it? T0s. All right, Murphy's Law. Okay, you'll need to take my word for it, but let's see an example of some of the other PMs that generated using this this method. Okay, so let's say we take T05 as an example. Okay? So believe me, okay, I did not key all of these by hand. Okay, so these would all be AI generated work procedure or preventive maintenance. Okay. So once again, you can put some different data source and you can have some more specific agents. Okay. The agent that I showed here has quite very unique requirements, meaning that I've tweaked it a little bit. Okay. I've given context that, you know, when you do this, we want A, B, C, D services, like you see here. The context is fleet maintenance. I'm expecting between 10 to 25 sub-steps as an example. I'm expecting that it's either date or meter based. So, you know, you'll need to evaluate, okay? Depending on the volume that you're dealing with, some agents might be worthwhile to invest in, or some agents, you know, just use the ones that we have out of the box that have you know, at this point, some of these have had more than 10,000 triggers or prompts, so they're getting quite accurate. While the one that I just showcased is our little new one, so it needs a bit more experience, just like a human. You know, the more it does it, the better it gets. I'm just looking at the time. Okay, I want to show you a little bit what's under the hood. Okay, so if we look at the mind the pun with my fleet data set. So if we look at mobiMentor here, okay, this is where you could configure your different agents. Okay? So I'll just close that for a second. Okay. Under Assistant, you'll recognize all of our agents that we had available. And if we search for our asset and equipment, okay, we see what's the category, we see what's the pricing, we see what's the description, what's the welcome message. You remember when I was on the inventory one, it told me that it can look up stock for me. So you can configure all of that to really cue your user into what's expected out of that agent. And if we hit edit, this is where we can configure this agent. Okay, can configure some appearance. It's all great, but what's the most important here is under parameters, use the model. Now remember our definition. Okay, this one is using Claude from Anthropic. Okay, but you have about 300 models. This changes almost week to week. Okay, but these are all the different models that you can choose. Would be Claude Sonnet 4. It's kind of our best, our highly trained model that's giving us the most successful answers. But you also have some mini model as well. Okay, and these are essentially taking way less token and are much more cost effective. Okay? So really depending on what's the use, if you want to generate reports like overdue maintenance, like I showed you, premium will be the way to go. But for just, you know, what's the inventory that we have and where is it located, the mini model performs, I would say, just as great. Okay? And what you'll see here is if we go back to Claude over here, okay, you'll see on the right as well that there is pricing. Okay, so that's something that is important to understand as well. Okay, you'll need to, how the model works is, you know, depending on your license, you'll have access to different models. Okay, and it's essentially invoice per usage. Okay, so you can buy yourself, let's say, $1,000 worth of credit. Okay, this will kind of take you a long way. Of course, if you have multiple hundreds of users querying AI at the same time, we'll need to get together and evaluate how much credit you should budget. But it's pay per use. So really, the fact that we're giving those AI agents available for any license, let's say for some of you that are on standard license, you could get started with a few dollars worth of credit, see if you get some adoption, if you get some enablement from some of the users. So once again, let's start with some quick win. I find that it's a very minimal investment just to get started and see if it's a good fit with your own data. Data is another important point. Now, most of you have pretty robust data set. Just the fact that you're on a CMMS system, Mobi is quite modern. Your data structure would be in good shape. But if some of your data is disorganized, if you don't have a massive structure, if your numbering system are a little bit all over the place, keep in mind that the artificial intelligence, it'll need some guideline. It expects patterns, or it's looking for pattern in some of your data. So maybe start with a few credits, see how it behaves. But like I said, most of you, if you already have a CMMS system, you're pretty much 3/4 of the way there. If we look at some of the workflows that we can put in place, okay, let's take a look at the suggest PM workflow that I was trying to demonstrate here. Okay, so what you see here is really, to me, that's a very good representation of Agentic AI. Okay, so what we have, okay, is on the left we would have some triggers. So this is the form trigger. That was essentially the form, the pop-up box where I've typed in, or I could have added my maintenance manual. This gets fed. Sorry, I'll just edit this. This then gets put into our reliability expert, okay, which uses an app, ChatGPT 4 Mini, okay. And we have some text input, and this is really where we have specialized agents. So here we're giving some context, we're giving some instructions. Okay, so here you must call exactly those 4 functions, and here it's calling preventive maintenances, and it's reading the asset page. Okay, and here you see we have a few of these. Okay, so this is not the quick win that I was talking about, but hopefully it gives you the vision of how it can grow and how you can have, I think here we have about a dozen agents that's all working together, that's looking on ChatGPT, that's reading maintenance manual to give you essentially a maintenance strategy. Okay, and ultimately, if we look at those generate text here, creates a date meter policy, and the next step creates the date meter policy line. So these would be your work procedures and sub-steps. Of course, this is a sophisticated one. Okay, there's an in between the agents and the agentic AI workflows like this. You could have some much more reasonable or much smarter one to get started with. Okay, so this one here is just a consume item agent. Okay, so here we have one form trigger, we have one agent that's working, and we have a text input here that's essentially giving some context as of what this consume item agent is allowed to do. Okay, I see the time running, and we started a little bit late. Okay, so hopefully this gives you a good idea of the possibilities, starting from the chatbot and the agents that we've pre-configured for you, from all the way to creating your own agents and workflows. So what I'll do is I'll stop sharing. I have a few slides that I want to get into, and we'll take some questions. So if we wrap this up, okay, what does this mean, or what's the transformation you can hope for at the micro level or on the shop floor? Okay, if you look at the checkboxes we have, going from clicking to conversing, so users will now chat with the system, show me the last 5 work orders on, vessel 1, okay? Rather than going asset management, putting a filter, going vessel 1, going in submenus, we'll see more and more users chatting with the system and going from manual input to co-authoring. Okay, so rather than filling out a report maintenance, going click by click, the status went from in progress to completed. These are my notes. This is what I've consumed. Okay, the users could just chat. I've done this on this work order, and it's okay. And then the agents will essentially pre-fill a report maintenance form for them, and then they can review and submit. Now, if we look at the macro level, okay, what it means in the larger vision here, okay, we'll want to use AI to start pinpointing anomalies. Okay, so once we get a lot of data in the system and a lot of prompt, okay, AI will be really good at finding the odd one out. Okay, and when a user will do report maintenance, maybe it can flag like, hey, have you thought about that? Hey, this is really out of bounds, or this isn't common, and essentially changing the way we make maintenance decision. Okay, so really assisting the user. So I really like this slide here. Okay, so because I've seen a lot of clients, starting 8 years ago with no maintenance system in place. And if we look at how the maintenance strategy goes from left to right here, going from reactive to proactive to preventive to predictive, and we want to be into prescriptive. Okay, this is a little bit what I meant here with if we get 1,000 report maintenance a month, the 4 or 5 that are a little odd, okay, the AI can prescribe or can flag this. Okay, so the technologies that you'll need more and more, will be going from your standard SCADA or CMMS system all the way to putting some agents in place. Okay, we have our IoT module that is coming out as well. So if you have some smart equipment, or if you have some equipment that we could gather data out of an API or sensors, okay, AI loves this. Why? Because it's a lot of data, it's a high volume of data, and it's very predictable data. It's always in the same format. So it'll really support this transition going from preventive to prescriptive maintenance. So if you want to deliver quick results, okay, I have this model here. Okay, if you want to phase 1, like I said, it's between a few weeks to 2 months. Okay, we can do a pilot together. We can start with one side, or we can start with a few users, one or two agents. Like I said, inventory agent, asset expert. Okay, and the investment on your side is not really significant. Once again, it's just budget a few token or a few AI credit. Okay. Then we can get into more of a phase 2, so extend to more assets, more users, see how things goes, and this is where we can really see some impact on PM optimization, backlog reduction, overtime reduction. And then the phase 3, these would be for larger AI deployment, where we could really build AI agents that are specific for your assets, for your business, for your users, and this can get quite sophisticated. Okay, this is a larger commitment on both AI consumption credit, but mostly on your time, right, to learn the AI and build your own workflows. All right, so we'll take some answers. I'll provide some answers. We'll have some of your questions.
Yeah, so Ben, we have quite a few questions that came in. So we'll go through them, and if we don't have time to answer any of them, we'll reach out to them by email.
Sure.
So the first question is, what AIs are part of TAG Mobi that has no cost at this time?
Yeah, so the ones that have no cost from a licensing perspective would be all the AI that can that are on non-premium models or smaller models. Okay, what this means, okay, is we could try any of the agents that we have today that I showed. We could try them on mini models. Okay, however, every time you do an AI call, it will consume some tokens. We're talking about a few cents. Okay, So I think for about $200-300 worth of credit, we can get you started on AI, starting next week.
The next question is, does this chatbot just take info from within TAG, or can I ask it to research PMs on equipment off of the internet?
Yeah, that's definitely something you can do. Okay. At the moment, we restrict all of our agents to simply look at what's in TAG or Business Central, but we can open it to web search. Okay. If we do that, we'll want to be somewhat specific on what type of file it's allowed to consume and to read. But yeah, that's definitely something we can do.
Great. And this next question I did answer, but if there's anything extra you want to add to it, the question was, can you use audio to ask the agent what you want? I had just said yes, that you can use voice commands.
Yeah, totally. And then we'll see that often if you're running off of iPad. TAG Mobi on iPad, because it has a built-in microphone. But all this does is instead of typing, you would just use a mic. But yeah, totally.
Great. The next question is, do the agents have avatars? If not, are you considering it?
They have icons for now, but we could put avatars. That's something internally that the developers are having fun with. The agents, we call them asset expert, but they have some funny nicknames. I might leak some of them in the new year.
Perfect. We have 2 more questions. Can you limit who has access to the agents?
Yes, and that's important as well. You can limit it by user, but what we'll want to do, it's a feature we're working on. We want to allocate credit per user. So right now, how it works is, let's say you guys buy $1,000 worth of credit. One user could consume all of it. So we're trying to come up with a solution to allocate credit per user.
Correct. And this last question came up while you were showing the workflows. So it says, these are specific EAM prompts. Is that the correct assumption?
Yes, these are specific EAM prompts, and we fine-tune them. Our team internally has been working on AI for about a year. Okay, so you can go in there alone, but it's worth just booking a call, send me an email. We'll be able to provide you lots of guidance on what type of prompt are working great.
Awesome. And we have one last question that just came in. I think this will be our last one. Do you have integration to other platforms like building management systems?
So not for reading data specifically, we could do it. This would be an example of a specialized AI we could build. What it takes is essentially an API that the agent could consume. In the same way that our agents are consuming Business Central API, we could consume a BMS API as well.
Great, that's it for the questions.
Okay. If I can take a few more minutes, just a call to action. Okay. AI deployment is very strategic for us in 2026. Okay. So if you have an opportunity in mind, if you think you'd be a good candidate, reach out to me, put by email. If it takes me, flying, coming and meet you and trying agents on the spot, we'll do it. Okay. The team here is very motivated into having real world use cases. We want to be clients being successful and being ahead of the curve when it comes to agentic AI. So we'll meet you halfway.